Alex, the producer here, and this is just a quick little unboxing video. Everybody's sort of done it now, but I wanted to take a look for myself and see what came inside of the box, what didn't come. I'm surprised there wasn't like a card for some free month or two of Game Pass Ultimate or something, but there didn't appear to be in the box. So the first clip is from a little head-mounted action cam that I've had in storage forever, just to show a bit of the unboxing. And then the second clip, which supposed to have it was supposed to go on a lot longer, and I found out that the old batteries that I have for my older SLR camera have started to go. So from a full charge to dead in about 10 minutes of recording. So that's unfortunate, but it does show you what it takes to set up the console, whereas with a lot of the other videos online, it's been already set up. So it does take a little bit when it starts up, and then I showed a bit of installing the applications and copying over from multiple external drives, an NVMe SSD external, not the official one, but one that's a USB connected one, as well as a SATA SSD, some back compat games copied over, and then it shows how it pops up to prompt you to upgrade the to the newer X version of some of the smart delivery games. The rest of the stuff where I showed off some of the settings and how I changed things, that unfortunately wasn't captured because I didn't realize that the camera had died while I was recording, and I was using a shotgun mic that was plugged into the hot shoe on the top of the camera, so it didn't pick me up super well at the side. I'll have to boost my audio a little bit, but just a quick and easy video showing off what we got here, and I'll do something similar when the PlayStation 5 gets picked up on Thursday. So I'll just cut this together quickly, and if you like, please subscribe, check us out. We're going to be doing more video and a ton of more audio content for this new launch. Alrighty, so I figured I would do a little ADR over this because it was picking up too much ambient room noise with my shotgun mic on my SLR, so it's sort of going to be me narrating over top of what was happening. I had hooked up the system here. This is the Series X. Plugged in two external drives. One was my SATA SSD that reads at 550 megs. That's what I had my back compat games on from the Series S that I had before. With the 1S that I had before. There you go with the names. And the other was the drive I borrowed from my brother, which was a series, I guess, what is it? I can't remember the exact brand name, but it's an NVMe SSD, PCIe Gen 3. So something similar to the speed of what you would have with the official Xbox, like their expansion card, but this plugs in through USB 3.1 Gen 2. So obviously it's not going to get the same speed because it's not connected directly through the PCIe port, but it's the fastest you were going to get from an external drive, and that's what I had my review copies of Assassin's Creed, Valhalla, and Yakuza on there. So when you plug them in, it automatically detected them. It took a little while to boot from here, and it did play like the Xbox audio, but I'm going to sort of let this play in real time. I may have to blur some stuff out, like content email addresses or something, but I had to plug in my Elite controller to connect it to the system for the first time, wired, and then automatically detected it, obviously. And I have, actually at the top right of the screen where you sort of see the Crash Bandicoot standing there. Next to that is the charging dock from PDP, so I decided to charge the controller it came with and just use my Elite version 2. And that's using all three USB ports basically. And It sat here for quite some time while it was doing its, I guess, first boot up. Best thing I can think of is, one, it was detecting that, on an initial boot, it probably does a full check of all the RAM and everything to make sure everything's good. It does a check of what external drives are probably plugged in, so it's detecting and making sure that it can load those 2 drives that I have plugged in. Also likely was detecting, here's the controller, and then it's also, I had a Ethernet cable plugged in. I have gigabit Ethernet with a gigabit switch, and I also have gigabit internet, so I do pay for that. So it's gigabit down, 50 meg up, because symmetrical is insanely expensive. But it's pretty much ideal conditions, so it was probably detecting IP settings, all that sort of junk. And then we finally got to the screen here where it popped up with a one-time use code that is randomly generated. I don't think I need to blur that because it's already connected to my system, but if I do, I might just blur it. And then you use your app on your phone. So you have to install the Xbox app, and then I couldn't find the spot. I had to walk by to find my phone, first of all, and I couldn't find the spot on the app where it's like activate a system. So I just typed in activate, like in the search, and it pops up with a little button below the search before you even complete, saying, would you like to register and activate a system? You click on that, and then it finishes instructions on your phone. So you don't even have to type anything in. You don't have to use the controller at all. It'll try to recover from a previous settings of what was updated to the cloud of your last system. I didn't choose to do that because I was using a Xbox One S All Digital Edition that I borrowed because I no longer had an Xbox to do, and I was expecting to get the system perhaps early for review, and I received some early review games but had no system, so I had to borrow an older system from a friend and install my profile on there. I didn't want to copy over his settings. So once you enter those, it asks you for things like, are you okay with sending privacy data to them? It also then pops up saying things like, are you okay sharing error diagnostics? Would you like instant on or economy mode, or is it economy or ecological mode or something? And it has to do with when you shut down, it's completely off or mostly off versus being able to download things in the background. And if you keep it on instant on, it's not a huge deal because it's an SSD, so it's not having hard drive spinning all the time. Yes, it will create a little more heat, but it's made to manage that. But it gives you the advantage of when you activate a game on your phone, like through their app, or you click I want this Game Pass game, it will then auto download the background, have it all set up, and you can do it from wherever you are in the world as long as you're connected to the internet. So I went, okay, I'll do that, especially since I this summer purchased like my brother and I went in together and purchased a few different, for his house and then for my apartment, APC battery backups, like pretty higher end, several $100 ones, because I was like, I'm living in an older apartment building and I don't trust the power. It flickers now and then, and these are expensive devices. So it's one that does pure sine wave. It has a built-in battery for backup for, it can do like 16 or 1700 watts for 20 minutes. It's good. Like I'm not gonna have a brownout or any problems with leaving it with instant on mode. It had a 700 and some odd meg download for day one before I could use the system. I haven't checked. I'm assuming there's one for the controller, but I'm still letting that charge on my charging dock. But it downloads at about 2, maybe 3 times faster than I remember. And I've seen some YouTubers talking about that. But here, what was very interesting about it was that I have pretty ideal conditions. I'm in a town that has fast gigabit cable internet. I'm right near a hub. There's not very many people in my area that specifically use the same internet that I do. I have a separate line to my apartment specifically because when I moved in, I guess somebody had cut the line, so they had to put a new one in. So I have good conditions, and I was always hovering at about 200 to 300 megabit downloading on the between 1 and 3 on even my 1X that I had plugged into the exact same hardware. And now it first of all detected full, even slightly higher than gigabit. It was like 1,000 something or other. And it downloads at about 500 to 600 megabit. And like I have nothing else streaming or doing anything in the house right now, so it was just going to go at full speed. And it's like people were right. It's about double. It seems snappier, and they can say all they want that it's the SSD. Like 1,000 megabit for those that don't know, like 1,000 megabit is only just about. It's about 100 megabytes, 100 depending on mine sometimes goes above. I get like 120 megabytes per second download. You can do that on a 5400 RPM hard drive. That's pretty much maxing it out. So you could do that. So the Xbox's reasoning, I don't buy it at all. Like even like remotely close to that. And the same with PlayStation. They've said the same thing, that it's like the SSD that makes it faster. It's not it. Both of these companies must be upgrading their back-end servers. So it's the servers that have upgraded, along. It would make sense if they've amortized the and budgeted for, hey, we're doing a console generation upgrade. This would be time for us to upgrade and write off our server upgrades. So yeah, it's also possible that because so few people have the consoles right now, that they're connecting to the newer the newer servers, and there's not so many of us at all yet. So I'm downloading while I can. I tried to keep the camera in focus on here, but my TV gets a little bit of glare. It's a 65-inch TCL 6 Series. I think it retailed for about 1,200 Canadian, but I got a new phone when TCL put out a new phone this summer and signed up with my carrier for a 2-year deal. And in doing so, they offered a free TV, which was a 43-inch 4 Series. I had a 50-inch 4 Series, and I said, "Hey, can I get something better?" And they're like, "If you give us $500, we'll give you this $1,200 TV because it's last year's model, and it's still, if you were to go to Best Buy or somewhere, it was going to cost me $300 or $400 more." And they offered to give me a 2-year warranty on it for that price, including delivery and taxes, all in. And I went, cool. I got a 65-inch with Dolby Vision. It has pretty good ratings. Cinema snobs may be like, meh, it's not perfect, or meh, it's not 120 hertz. It doesn't matter. It's a million times better than what I was using. So I'm happy with it. I checked the settings, and it doesn't, like the TV is a 60 hertz TV, but it is a pure 10-bit. It does wide color gamut. It does have local dimming. It's a good TV, a very good TV for next gen. Just because it doesn't do some of those high-end new features, big deal. So I went in and changed some of the settings here, and interestingly enough, there are some things that popped up that I hadn't seen before, and I believe we'll get to it here. Also, when you download games or you copy over your previous games that have auto upgrading through smart delivery, it'll start to load the game, and then you'll see it pop up, and it'll sort of kick out for a second. It'll go, hey, there's a free upgrade. Here's how many gigs it takes to upgrade it. In some cases, it's basically a re-download of the whole game. In some cases, it's only a couple gigabytes versus like 40-something to, I guess, alter just key game code or something. As of recording here, I was also installing the Series X version of Control because we received the Ultimate Edition that had the auto upgrade because we wanted to see about it for our gift guide. And when I installed the X version, because it's still doing a lot of stuff in the background, I went to launch it, and it's like, it keeps putting me in like a loop where it's looking for the main data, and it's like, you need to download the Ultimate Edition, which you didn't pay for. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense because I received the Ultimate Edition code. But the Ultimate Edition code, I guess because we activated it early, was for the previous gen. So I went back now, and I started downloading the base version, the Xbox One version, and I'm assuming that once that's downloaded and it has the X version on there, there's also a platform update for the store. I think it has to install to make it work. Somehow it's going to configure, and it's just going to work. And if it doesn't, then we'll be talking with the publisher and be like, hey, something not right. Everybody else's upgrade's really easy. So I know that there had been some controversy surrounding them about the One Edition, but I think there seems to be a lot of them following a universal path for it, and some are a little different. So what it showed here, even though it's a little fuzzy, unfortunately, is that my TV does some basics. HDR10 didn't show up, I believe. Oh no, it was the auto HDR that was new. So I guess that auto HDR is the one that does it for older games, and Dolby Vision was already there before. I leave the other color signal off, and then I go in here and I just raise it up to 36. It'll only output what it can. My TV is HDMI 2.0. My receiver has Dolby DTS:X and all this stuff, and it's just 2.0 as well, though. And I don't believe I have eARC on my receiver. Supports that. I don't know if the TV does. It does normal ARC, so that's why I'm going through the TV or through the receiver itself first. If I plugged it into the TV does support auto game mode, but I forced my TV into game mode for that input anyway. And then I went in here because I didn't recover the settings from the previous console, and I just, you won't notice anything on the screen here or it'll look a little faded out because it went into HDR mode, so I could calibrate the HDR so that I could see the checkerboard boxes. That's one thing you'll want to do if you have an HDR TV. Don't just assume it's auto-calibrated because you set the settings on your TV remote for what you like watching on movies. So set what you have on your movies, and then go into the system and calibrate it there, and that'll calibrate it for the games. And then I went through some other settings after the recording unfortunately stopped because the battery died. But in the meantime here, it showed here 800 gigs usable. So it's going to be more than the PS5, obviously. The second drive there, that was more full, that was my SATA SSD that happens to have all the back compat games that I had installed. And then the other one that said Alex Xbox below that was 18%, that had the 2 review games on it. That's the one that's the NVMe USB SSD. So many acronyms. So I believe I went in here and I think it told it just to copy everything, and it copies pretty darn fast. They don't have, as far as I can tell, USB 3.1 Gen 2. Like, it doesn't have 10 gigabit USB ports. So it was, with the 5 gigabit USB ports, you were going to be limited to roughly 650 megabytes throughput if you have nothing else plugged in or doing anything else. So that's fast. I mean, it's 6 times faster than I can download. But as far as the PlayStation 5, I'm going to end up using the same drive, I believe, to copy some games over. And in doing that, I think I'll try at least one game doing that with, just to see what happens. The PS5, 2 of the ports on the back, I believe, or is it one on the back, one on the front, or something? A couple of them are Gen 2 10 gigabit, so they're actually twice the speed that you get on the Xbox Series X and S console. So that potentially means I'll be able to read from the drive at 1.2 gigabytes per second. Whereas, and that drive itself supports, I believe, 2400 or 2.4 gigabytes read, and then like 1.4 write or something. So it's still not going to max out the drive. It's still going to get pretty warm in that metal case it has, but it'll work. And so here, it just sort of shows you all your games. It's a pretty similar interface that you're used to. Nothing's really changed that much here. But I went through trying to see what Series X games would be available on day one. And there was some. I didn't install everything, but I picked out a couple titles. I couldn't find, maybe I'm blind when I'm looking through here again, talking over, I couldn't find Gears Tactics. And I thought that launches today on there. So maybe I missed it completely, but I don't know. So let's see. So F, and we're going down here. Gears 5, and then there's all the other Gears games. Yeah, I don't see it unless it's on a different category, or maybe it launches maybe it had to wait a certain time or something. But I think I went down and selected. Goner 2 is a great game, by the way. We reviewed it earlier, and that has I guess a day 1X version. But I did make sure after going through here that I went and checked out the EA. Now that EA's library is a part of Game Pass Ultimate, I'll have to renew my Ultimate. I think it's up in a week or so. I was kind of surprised that, like I said earlier, that it didn't include a 14-day pass or a couple months with buying a system that's $600. So, and was it Star Renegades is supposed to be on here too? Maybe I missed it. I don't know. I'll probably go back and download those. But I went and installed the Star Wars game, Jedi Fallen Order, because I wanted to play it. I mean, I was actually holding off to play it on and purchase it on next gen. And then I saw that it was going to be a day one part of the deal, I guess, with the merger. So in EA Play, there's still not a whole lot of stuff on there. It would be nice to... I would have loved if they put Squadrons, but that's too new. Because I still really want to play Squadrons. But, hell yeah, I'll finally get to play that. And it should, from what I see, play more smoothly than on other platforms. So, you know, that's a robust library. And when it comes to Mass Effect, we're going to go play that when there's the remastered edition come out. There's no reason to install it now. And then, if you look at the queue, what's going, it shows all storage, so it combines all three, 2 of my external drives and the internal. And then, as you can see, it's moving fairly fast. And then I go in here and I decide to move all of the games that I can off of my SATA SSD to the internal. And it is a variety of games I've wanted to play, been meaning to play, and want to test out. I know the Tourist has an auto upgrade to a Series X version that's super duper efficient. And I had just this morning received a review code for the Falconeer. So that installed, and I made sure I booted that up, and it gives you the option for a 60 frames per second or 120 frames per second mode. I don't have 120 frames per second TV, so there's no point in enabling that. But it does have easy, it looks like easy, normal, and like hard modes, and you can turn on and off some of the like vibration functions. And I turned the UI to like the maximum size, so it's easier for me to see because I wear glasses that are fairly strong. And it's nice to see that, and it's in HDR, so even indie games are getting HDR now. So see this part here where it boots and it says getting ready? That is something new I've not seen. And I think it's when it's detecting what version it has and if you have an upgrade. So it pops me out, then it pops in, and it'll tell you, hey, there's a free upgrade for this game, and here's how much data it's going to take to download the new data, and I believe it replaces what's there. And that's pretty much where I got cut off when the battery died. So, you know, if you like what you see, subscribe, please.